When spring comes, those of us who have been cooped up all winter can't wait to get out and set up camp. But fickle spring still has some cold nights up her sleeve, and adding a propane-powered heater can sometimes really help you make it through the night in comfort. Mr. Heater released their BuddyFlex system this year, and I put it to the test. There are some strengths to this heater and stove, but there are also some serious limitations. Let's get into the tech specs and then discuss this system's strengths and weaknesses. The heater uses a mesh rather than Mr. Heater's normal ceramic screen. This mesh is less fragile and does a great job of putting out some serious heat. The heater has a max output of 11,000 BTUs and is designed to radiate heat in all directions. The heater isn't small and tips the scale at just over 11 pounds, but for car campers, it's a welcome respite for those temperature drops at night. The stove adds another 6+ pounds and clamps to the bottom of the heater for easy transport and storage. It has the same mesh burner material with a heavy-duty welded steel pot stand that can easily handle pots and pans up to 10 inches in diameter. The burner cranks out between 5,000 and 8,000 BTUs of heat. It also includes a 28-inch hose coiled underneath. Before we could even begin testing, we ran into an issue where we could not get the pilot to light. We ended up calling Mr. Heater's technical support to troubleshoot the issue. First, let me say their technical support was exceptional, and Phoenix from Mr. Heater walked me through the steps to get the heater lit. We first tried purging the hoses of air by holding down the red knob in the starting position for a few minutes. This normally fixes most issues of the heater not lighting. When that didn't work, Phoenix had me try spraying canned air into the regulator. Finally, she had me take off the front grate and the regulator cover, dab a cotton swab in alcohol, insert it into the valve and let it soak for a bit, and then take a couple other cotton swabs and give it a good scrubbing. She informed me that while not a common occurrence, occasionally debris can get lodged in the nozzle during transport. After I got the pilot lit and the unit put back together, I still occasionally need to use a can of air to clear the nozzle to get the pilot lit. To light the heater, you push down on the red dial and rotate it to the starting position and hold it down while hitting the igniter button. This piezoelectric spark is powered by an included AAA battery. Once the pilot is lit, continue to hold down the dial for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and then you can rotate it to the on position and the mesh filament will begin to glow orange. Another issue for me was just the size and weight. Even though this is designed for use in a camper or a garage or the workshop, it's still a bulky unit. Add the stove to the bottom and you're talking about 17 pounds, not including the fuel source. And that 1 pound propane bottle is only going to run for between 2 to 3.5 hours, so it will not get you through the night. You can, however, purchase an optional adapter hose that will allow you to connect to a larger barbecue-style tank for longer runtime. As for the stove, it features a quick detach nozzle that plugs directly into the heater. It cannot be used without the heater, and the pilot light in the heater must be lit in order to use the stove. You also cannot use the heater at the same time that you use the stove. The stove was not very efficient either, taking 15 minutes to boil 24 ounces of water. I believe that part of that had to do with the small diameter of the pot that I used that allowed a lot of heat to escape from the burner. It did much better on eggs in a skillet that completely covered the cooktop. It made perfectly over easy eggs in just 9 minutes. The system is rated for use at altitudes up to 9,000 feet, but it seemed to struggle to stay lit at my testing altitude of around 6,000. In part, this is because of an oxygen depletion sensor that shuts the unit off for safety if there isn't enough oxygen in the room. It also contains a tip-over shut-off so that the unit will turn off if it gets knocked over. This seems to require the unit to be pretty level in order to work correctly. What I did like is how much heat it gave off, and it can be felt a few feet away and will quickly warm up a tent or a small room. Make sure that you have ample ventilation to avoid buildup of carbon monoxide. The vents on the top radiate heat from 3 sides and the glowing filament looks pretty cool. For car campers in a tent or working in the garage on a project, this unit will definitely keep you toasty. I had to turn it down after about a half an hour. I also like how the stove attaches to the heater. That made it very easy to transport and store. The hose coils up under the stove and keeps it out of the way. The stove is heavy duty and can handle the weight of a large full pot or even cast iron up to 5 pounds. The burner element gets hot enough to burn itself clean if you have any spillover. I also like that I have the versatility to use small green 1-pound bottles or the option to connect to a larger fuel source. And finally, this thing is very solidly built. Everything about it seemed to be of the highest quality materials, and the fit and finish are on point. From the bright red paint to the heavy steel grates, everything is very solid and will last for many years of hard use. The heater and the stove are sold separately, as is the optional bulk fuel hose and adapter. You can check out the full line of Mr. Heater Buddy heaters, as well as a wide selection of stoves and heaters at your local Sportsman's Warehouse or online at sportsmans.com.